What's up? It's your boy Fats checking in with you with another one. You got some people that want to play both sides of a situation just because they in control of you and they might think that they making things easier for themselves, but we never know how things could be for people in there because people do things all type of ways up in there. I remember one time this lady named Miss Oliver. Now Miss Oliver was a white chick. I mean, she was kind of heavy set, real big. I think she ate a lot, but I really didn't know her like that, but I can tell that she can eat. So, I mean, I was at Eldoro Correctional Facility. You know, I moved there from Hutch, and when I get to Eldorado, because I'm in this little work program that can help me. I think it's called a reentry program, and it's gonna help me when I get out of parole. I can get out of parole faster if I go through this program while I'm up in there. So they transferred me from Hutch to there. So when I get to El Dorado, I come in, do the regular routine, boom. You go lock down, go get all your stuff, your property and things like that that you brought with you. And then you take it back to your room, in this little cart. So when I get there to my little cell, I get up in there, his 2-man cell. I think his name was Rico. I mean, I really, like I said, boom. I get up in there, I'm like, hey, what's up, man? He's like, shit, what's up, man? Boom. I get up on the bunk with him, boom. Top bunk, start doing, tie my bed, how I do it, you know, how you put the bed knots at to make sure that the sheets don't come off. So I'm doing that, talking to him. He fired one of them little Chris Brown CDs like Bill Feasy be saying, he fired up one of those things. And then, we sitting there talking. I'm like, shit, what's going on out there? What's going on there? Basically, I'm trying to get like the rundown of the whole situation of the penitentiary. So I'm basically talking to him like, shit, what's going on? He's just telling me, oh man, it's kind of cool here, man, because like I said, this little cell house they put me in was like this reentry program. So everybody was already up in there. So he was just telling me how things was going. So like I said, we smoking, boom, doing our thing. I'm talking, he telling me how the program works and stuff like that. So then a few hours later, it's child time. So I go to child. When I get to the child hall, boom. Like I said, I don't know what to sit. I ain't hollered at Rico, where to go sit at. I just, boom, just followed out, just fell out the cell, boom. So when I get to the child hall, I'm going through the line. And when I get through the line, I stop and I see my boy Payne. Now, Payne was somebody that I hung out with, in the penitentiary in the Hutch. I mean, we did kind of business together and stuff like that. So I was like, hey, man, what's up, man? You know what I'm saying? What's up, Payne? He's like, hey, what's up, Fats, man? I was like, shit, what's going on with you? He was like, shit, nothing, man. Basically, we just trying to talk for a second before the line started moving. And I was like, hey, man, where can I sit at? That'd be cool. I ain't got to have no problems with nobody. He's like, all the kitchen people, they sit over there at this table over there. So he pointed to it. So I was like, all right. But before I burnt out with him, I was like, hey, man, you know what I'm saying? You think you can hook me up with something, like some extra vegetables or something like that, and I can holler at you on the yard about a few things? And he was like, yeah, you can. So he was like, but shit, you got to be real careful with this tray because when it gets down to the end of the line, Miss Oliver might say something. So I was like, all right. So I get down to the end of the line down there, boom. That's when Miss Oliver was like, you trying to be greedy? And I was like, what you mean you trying to be greedy? She's like, I see you got them extra vegetables. I seen Payne give it to you a little extra down there. She said, I got good eyes. So I was like, nah, I ain't trying to be greedy. She was like, shit, you ain't gonna get this tray. So the next tray that came down, that's what she gave to me. I guess, she wasn't going for nothing like that. So I get up, walk down the line, boom, to sit at the table where all the kitchen workers, sit at. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. So I'm sitting over there like that, like just basically just chilling, just eating my food. Nobody saying nothing to me or nothing. I just went over there and sat down. I ain't had no type of beef with nobody when I sat over there. So I was like, that's cool. shit, everything's working out, you know what I'm saying? So far, good, because once you get your child house, see, everything else, you know what I'm saying, falls in place. It's just that child house, because you got to eat, you know. So, boom, I get up, leave, go back to the cell. Rico up in there doing this thing, so I had to wait for a minute because he was using the bathroom and put the little toilet seat thing on the thing, let everybody know that, somebody's in the bathroom. So when he come out, I ain't go in there, you know what I'm saying? As soon as that he did his thing, I waited for a minute, and then I went back up in the room, you know, to get my stuff, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm about to get ready to go to the yard, So I go out to the yard, probably about a couple hours, you know what I'm saying? I'm out there. That's when Pain come out there. He's like, shit, it's kind of gravy up here, man. You know what I'm saying? You can make some money, People are doing this and people are doing that. And I was like, shit, I ain't really trying to make no money or nothing like that, because I was in that program and I ain't want to mess nothing up, So he was like, shit, what you trying to do? So I was just trying to just basically just get something, just basically just go get by. So he was like, all right, I can try to see what I can do. So I was like, okay. So, boom. The next morning when I get up, um, I go talk to the orientation people about the little program I go in there. They tell me that if I be good, you know what I'm saying, for the last 5 months that I got, that when I get out on parole, instead of me doing 2 years on parole, they'll cut it down to maybe a year or a year and a half and stuff like that. So I was like, shit, all I gotta do is be good. I was like, shit, that's kind of easy. As long as ain't nobody trying to do nothing crazy or nothing like that, shit, I should be cool. So then, after I leave the program, I go to the child hall. Boom, boom, lunchtime. I eat. See Pain, see Miss Oliver, you know what I'm saying? Just keep on walking by, sit at my little table, do my thing, come back to the cell. So when I get back to the cell, that's when Rico's like, shit, hey man, if you trying to do something, so now he put filling me in on something too. If I'm trying to do something, because he seen that me and him up in there smoking and stuff like that, and shit, he probably trying to make sure that he keep his stuff as well. So I'm like, all right, man, you know what I'm saying? He's like, shit, if you need something, I can try to get you something. So I'm like, all right. He's like, shit, boom. So now I've got two little plugs I can go to. So I'm kind of feeling how the penitentiary is going, because I'm kind of happy about all that stuff. So then, boom, I get up, come out the room, you know, boom, go to the yard, again. Later on, I think just like the next day, I go to the yard. So then I talk to Payne. Payne's like, shit, he can do something for me. Like I said, they all trying to fill me in on something to try to get something moving for me. So I'm like, all right. So then, like probably about 3 days later, that's when they called me, you know what I'm saying, to the office. So when I get to the office, they wrote me a pass out to go to the laundry to get my clothes to go to the kitchen, because I guess that's the work detail that I'm gonna be working on. So I'm like, all right, boom. So I'm like, shit, Payne's up in there. Shit, that's probably cool. I'm not, hopefully I can get on that shift, but I ain't gonna know until I get to the laundry when they give me all the stuff. So I get the pass. I go to the laundry. Boom, I give it to the laundry. That's when they tell me, hey, you know what I'm saying, you working second shift, you know what I'm saying, which is 12 to 6:30. So I'm like, all right, 12 to 6:30, that's cool. So then they give me all my white clothes. So when they give me the white clothes, well, I'm coming back to the pod. I ain't happy or nothing like that, because, like I said, I worked in the kitchen before, so I already know how it goes down up in the kitchen. So then I get to my dorm, put my stuff on the bed. Rico's like, all right, they got you working in the kitchen. I was like, yeah. He said, when do you start? I looked at the paper, you know what I'm saying? They said, shit, I start shit tomorrow. So I was like, shit, okay, that's cool. So then, boom, the next day, I go to the kitchen, you know, boom. I get to the kitchen. They tell me to go to Miss Oliver's office. So I was like, shit, I already know her, you know what I'm saying? Just like I said, when first day I got there, I met her, you know. So I come to the office. Boom, I sit down now. Now, the tricky thing about her was she didn't have no computer chair. We had a computer chair. She had a regular chair that where she can, I guess all her hips or whatever can fall off the chair versus being squashed in the seat like that. So I'm looking at that. I'm like, shit, damn. I said, shit, she must be a bodybuilder or something like that on the side. This must be a different job that she doing. Now, Miss Oliver, you know what I'm saying? She wasn't a corrections officer. She worked like Airmark, Airmark food service or whatever. They make all the food for the prisoners and stuff like that. So she didn't work for the prison. She was like I said, a private detail outside the prison. I don't know how they did it or whatever, but that's how they did it. But she didn't work in the penitentiary. She wasn't a guard. So then we sitting there, and she's like, "Oh, there go Mr. Greedy right there." I was like, "Mr. Greedy, you know?" She was like, "Yeah, you greedy, ain't you?" She said, "You gonna be all around here trying to eat up all our food around here, ain't you?" I was like, "Shit, nah, I ain't gonna be doing nothing like that." And she was like, "Yeah, I think you are. Because shit, if you eating food, just vegetables and stuff like that off people's tray, putting it on people's trays and stuff like that, then, you know." So I was like, shit, I ain't gonna be doing nothing like that. I'm gonna be a good person around here. And she was like looking at her little tablet, whatever detail that they had. So she was like, shit, the place that we got for you to work at right now is on the line. So I was like, all right, so I work on the line. So she was like, shit, and you in pain better not be giving people no extra food and stuff like that. And I was like, shit, I ain't gonna be, basically, I'm just trying to tell her, shit, I mean, if somebody asks for something like that, I'm gonna give it to them. But it's up to them at the end of the day because I see this shit in fire pain. So I think that it was cool. So then, boom, I come out there, you know, and when I get out there on the line, now it's time to serve the food, I guess we gonna eat after everybody else after we do the line. So, boom, I'm out there, serving. I think it was like, shit, I don't know really what it was. I think it was probably some hot dogs or something like that, you know. So I'm giving out one hot dog, because it's like the big polar sauces versus the two hot dogs. So I'm giving out the polar sauces versus giving them the hot dogs, so they get the one. Boom. So I'm giving them that. So Payne's like, shit, she put you on the worstest job that they got. And I was like, what you mean? She was like, shit, passing out the meat or whatever. You can get yourself in a bad situation because everybody want extras on that, and people will always be beefing about that stuff. So I was like, shit, I hope ain't nobody gonna be beefing with me about no motherfucking hot dogs, or sausages or whatever you want to call it, because shit, it ain't going down like that. So I'm like, shit, dang, I got to worry about it like that. And he's like, yeah, you got to worry about it like that. I was like, shit, I'm going to go on here and try to do my thing, And she's down right, like at the end of the line, right next to me, looking at me. I guess she's trying to monitor how I'm going to be doing things or whatever, because she called me greedy. She thinking that I probably end up taking some of that meat. And shit, I probably would, shit, because shit, the way I eat up in that motherfucking shit, that motherfucking food up in there, you put it together right, shit, everybody love that shit. So, like I said, she looking at me, doing my thing, boom. After it's over, boom, we sitting down, we eating. And while we eating, like I said, Payne always telling me what's going on about the stuff and how he can hook me up, and he gave me the prices and things like that. So I'm like, all right, that's cool, boom. First day, I'm up in that motherfucker. The second day I come up in there, boom, do the same thing. She got me on the meat. I'm like, shit, dang, shit. I think it's like goulash or something like that. That's what they call it, like the spaghetti. You got to give out a certain amount of scoop on it, pull it to the side and put it on the thing. So you basically, you can't give out nothing but the spoon size of that. So I'm like, shit, passing that out, giving it to people. Boom, boom, we do that. Shit, I'm eating it. At the end of the day, like I said, we eat, go to the yard. The next day, I'm sitting there, I'm eating, do the same thing, I'm passing out the meat. Scared as a motherfucker, not wondering, if shit, motherfuckers gonna be doing something or gonna try to ask me to give them something. But ain't nobody to do nothing like that. So I was like, shit, that's kind of cool for right now. But shit, like I said, I no telling what had happened in a couple more days, It could just only be like that because people see that I'm new on there. So I'm still kind of wondering what's going on with that. So, because like I said, when Payne told me, how people is, so I'm really kind of thinking about that shit. So then I come in, sit at the table, talking to Payne some more. So I get up and I say, I'm going to go to the tray room, take my tray in. So I guess we did it kind of early. So when I get in there, I see this dude named Will. Now, Will, he's a black dude. He's kind of medium size. He ain't heavy set of built or anything like that. But he got a clean cut, And this other dude named Ivory. Now, Ivory, is a white dude, because his name is Ivory. So everybody call him Ivory. I guess he looked like the Ivory soap. I don't know. But shit, the way that he looked real pale. So I guess that's why they probably call him Ivory. So then I see them two in Miss Oliver's office talking. I don't know, he's sitting on the desk. The other dude's sitting, in the computer chair. They sitting there talking, I'm just like, damn, this nigga sitting on the desk like that. He must got some pull going on around here or something because shit, I'm looking to see this nigga, sitting on a motherfucking desk, So I just go in and put my tray up, boom, I go back out. So when I go back out, they kind of look over at me, and Miss Oliver's like, oh, that's Mr. Greedy right there. And I was like, shit, I just walk on off. I don't even really say nothing to her. I just walk. I don't even want to get involved in nothing like that. So then, like I said, once I seen that nigga sitting on the table, like that, I start, kind of watching because that's what you do when you in there. When you see something that looks strange going on in the penitentiary, the first thing you do is start peeping out that motherfucking whole situation. What's going on? So now every day when I'm coming in that motherfucker, I'm looking and seeing what's going on. I'm like, instead of me just going to put my tray up, now, I want to come over to the door and try to talk to her because when she say something, Mr. Greedy or whatever, or something like that, I come over there and I kind of start talking to her, and, trying to be funny with her, but also be kind of sarcastic with her because shit, I don't know what the fuck, is going on. So I'm just trying to peep it out. I'm just peeping out how this nigga's always sitting on this motherfucking table. Like he's just basically running things. Now, if the lieutenant or something like that come in there and see that man doing something like that, shit, he'll hurry him get his motherfucking ass up out there. So, like I said, I start peeping out stuff. So now, I'm like, shit, what the fuck is going on? So I'm sitting there coming back and forth, talking to them. Now I'm trying to talk to Will, what's up, man, shit, what's going on with you, man? I'm just basically trying to fill him out, So going to Ivory as well while Ivory's in the trade room, So then now I'm on the yard and stuff like that. Now I'm seeing how they moving, and I'm seeing them like they moving just the way that I used to move when I was back in the hutch. So I'm looking at them. They moving just like that, going to different people, going to different crowds, staying there just for a minute, You could tell when they moving stuff, in their hands. So I'm peeping all that stuff out. So I'm like, damn, they must be the people that's running things around here. So then, like I said, I get back to the child, and I'm talking to, sorry about that. I'm talking to Payne. And I'm like, hey, Payne, man, what Will and Ivory be doing, man? He's like, hey man, they be on some type of major stuff, but I don't know how they be doing it. But I think they messing with Miss Oliver, getting all that stuff and stuff from them. And I was like, shit, are you sure, man? He was like, yeah, man. He said, cause shit, who else could they be doing that stuff with? So I was like, shit. They could be doing it with somebody else or whatever. It could be, like I said, I don't know how people are moving around there because I just got there. So he telling me that, so I'm like, shit. All right. So like I said, I'm looking at them, how they moving and stuff up in the up in there. So I'm like, shit, what the fuck is going down? So then like they probably been doing that stuff for probably about uh shit 2-3 months. I'm looking at how they moving and stuff, how they making money, looking at how they propping up in the little office up in there, talking to that little lady and stuff like that. I mean, they was doing all type of stuff with her. So I was like, shit, I'm trying to be a part of that shit now. But then I was thinking to myself, shit, really, I don't want to mess this up because shit, if things go bad for me, shit, they're gonna either send me back to Hutch or back to Lansing, and then I'll be shit, won't be getting my motherfucking parole right when I get out. I got to do all that shit. So I'm talking to Payne, trying to fill out everything, looking at how everybody moving up in there. So then, like a few months later, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, they've been doing that shit, you know what I'm saying, for a while. So then, like a few months later, you know, that's when I see Ivory, he kind of separated himself, from that little situation right there. He wasn't in the office no more. So now it was only, Will sitting on a motherfucking table versus Ivory sitting in this motherfucking normal chair. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on with them. So one day I was up and like I say, he worked in the tray room. I get up in the tray room and I see him up in there. I'm like, hey man, what's up, man? He's like, shit, nothing, man, He was like, shit, what's going on with you? I was like, shit, I said, I see that you and your boy ain't really hanging out like that no more, I'm just trying to be nosy, trying to figure him out, because I'm seeing, like, the difference. They ain't really hanging out like that no more, because, like I say, he ain't been coming in there like that. So I'm like, shit, what's going on, man? You know what I'm saying? What's going on? Why you and your boy, y'all ain't kicking it like that no more? Y'all thought y'all was Ace Boone Coons. He's like, yeah, we Ace Boone Coons, but shit, things just ain't right between us right now. We got to try to fill in, the blanks of what's going on. So I was like, oh, is that real? He was like, yeah, man, we just got to try to figure out things between us to where we can try to make things better for us. So I was like, shit, what y'all be doing and stuff like that? How y'all be moving? I be seeing y'all in the yard and how y'all be bouncing around and stuff like that. I was like, how y'all be moving? You know what I'm saying? Because shit, I want to try to, get involved in something like that. He was like, shit, we don't be moving nothing like that. We just be doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But with the food coming out the kitchen, we don't be, hustling and stuff like that. And I was like, shit, y'all don't be doing no little hustling or nothing like that. Now, I already don't see Rico, I already don't go over there, you know what I'm saying, and switch. They did some type of hand movement or whatever real fast, and shit, they just, boom, just went off they separate ways. So I already knew they did more than that because when Rico came back to the cell, what he had. So I was like, shit, basically, you know what I'm saying, just sitting there, listening to him feed me some bullshit, you know what I'm saying, about how he was doing this and how he was doing this with the food coming out the kitchen. But shit, I knew that he was doing something kind of under his skin and stuff like that. So I was like, shit, man, you know what I'm saying, just put me on, you know what I'm saying, just let me know. Like I said, I'm just trying to fill out the situation just in case if I do decide to do something kind of crazy or whatever to jeopardize, my parole when I get out. But I ain't gonna do nothing like that. I'm just trying to fill it out to see what's going on so I can see if I can, like I said, I ain't trying to make no money, but just in case if somebody else needed something on the street or whatever, I can kind of help them out. So I'm standing there talking to him. He was like, man, he was like, shit, I'm going to have to talk to you another time about this, but shit, as of right now, I got something else, what I'm saying, I got to do, So I was like, all right. So when I turn around and walk out, you know, I'm like, shit, let me ask him something else real quick. And when I turned around and come back, you know what I'm saying, to the tray room, that's when I seen he had all this little stuff right there. So I was like, shit, man, damn, man, what's that right there? So he turned around and looked at me. He was like, man, what the fuck you doing, you know? I was like, shit, man, I was about to ask you something else again, but shit. But now I see this right here, shit, I need to be asking you more about what's going on. And he was like, shit, man, this ain't none of your business, you know what I'm saying? Just go ahead and get up out the kitchen and go ahead and do your thing. So I was like, all right, you know, at this point right here, I felt like, shit, should I stay and talk to him or should I just leave? Because, shit, I ain't want to get myself involved in that kind of situation. So what I did was I just left because shit, I didn't want to, like I said, get caught up in nothing like that and nobody having no beef and somebody trying to pull some type of weapon out on me on the yard or something like that. And I already got to worry about this motherfucking meat. So then I come back out to the day room, you know what I'm saying, the child hall, to the child out there in the room right there. And I'm talking to Payne. I'm like, hey, Payne, man, you know what I'm saying? You won't believe what I just seen. I just seen Ivory, you know what I'm saying? Whole game plan, what's going on. And he was like, shit, no, you didn't. I was like, yeah, I did. I just seen it all back there in the back, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, nah, you didn't. I was like, yeah, I did, man. He was like, shit, you seen it and stuff like that? He was like, I was like, yeah, man. I was like, shit, now what you think we should do? You know what I'm saying? I said, shit, it's up to you now, man. I said, I can turn the tables over to you, and then you just break me off something to where I can kind of be cool, to where I can try to get through this little program. And he was like, shit, both of us trying to get through the program. So he's like, shit, he ready to ball out of control. So I'm like, shit, all right, man, you know, I can turn it over to you if I do get some type of thing going on with him. So then I come back, you know what I'm saying, the next day, instead of me, you know what I'm saying, going out there to eat, I just go back there and I talk to Ivory. So when he seen me, he put his head down and start shaking his head like, shit, man, I know, man, you know what I'm saying, you want, you know, something for whatever you seen, but shit, I'm gonna give you this right here. So when he gave me a little bag of tobacco, I was like, shit, that's cool, man. I said, but shit, it's got to be more where that come from because shit, you already know what's going on. You need to let me know what's going on out there, you know. And he was like, shit, I ain't got to, you know, basically he ain't let me know what was going on. So then, boom, I come back out to the table. I go on here and break, you know what I'm saying, Payne off something, you know what I'm saying, here, man, go ahead, you know what I'm saying, because I know you've been looking out for me since I've been here. Go ahead and take care of this, you know what I'm saying, right there. I said, shit, I'm going to holler at dude again to see if maybe you and him could do some type of business or whatever to where y'all can try to make things right for each other. He was like, all right, man. So then, like a couple days later, I go back to Payne. I ain't want to be on his back like that, you know what I'm saying, every day because doing things like that, then people might think that you're trying to extort them or something like that. So I just wanted to, you know what I'm saying, basically see if I can get my boy Payne on, you know what I'm saying. So then I go in there, I see Ivory. Like I said, when he see me again, instead of him putting his head down, he look at me like he ready to, you know what I'm saying, do some type of boxing or something like that because he kind of buffed up. But like, man, what's up, man, you know? And the way, tone of his voice was like, shit, I don't think that he could actually, you know, actually, you know, basically he was just, the tone of his voice was just basically like shit, you know. So I was like, shit, all right, man, you know. So then I was like, hey, man, you know, let me holler at you just on some real shit right quick. I was like, my boy Payne out there, man. I said, he going through some things and stuff like that. He trying to make some money too, just like y'all trying to make some money. I was like, hey, man, why don't you go on here and hook him up? You know what I'm saying? To where he can kind of make some money, to where I ain't in none of y'all business and I won't talk to you no more about nothing, whatever y'all doing. I'll just let you and him handle y'all, whatever y'all got going on. And he was like, shit, man, I don't know, man. He said, I might have to holler at my boy, man, and see what's going on with that. Now, when he said his boy right there, made me say, oh, okay, now, you know what I'm saying? Now I know it will be on as well. So now I'm trying to put everything together, you know what I'm saying? Like, shit, what the fuck is going on with these people? So then I go back out there and I tell Payne, I'm like, hey man, I think he gonna fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? He's like, oh, you think so? I was like, yeah, we gonna see. I'm gonna holler at him. You know what I'm saying? Maybe in a couple of days and see what he say. So then, boom. Like I said, this shit been going on. You know what I'm saying, for maybe 3 or 4 months. It ain't no breaks or nothing like that. So then all this shit is happening. You know what I'm saying? Boom, boom, back to back. So I'm like, shit, okay. So, uh, so Payne was like, shit, hey man, you know, once you get on with old boy, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna kinda hook you up as well. And I was like, all right, man, you know what I'm saying, you can go on and hook me up, you know what I'm saying, however you want. You ain't got to, you know what I'm saying, kill yourself, just, you know what I'm saying, make sure that we all cool. So then, boom, a few days later, like I said, I go back and I holler at Ivory. You know, I said, you holler at your boy? He's like, yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? He said he gonna do something, you know what I'm saying, on our next thing that we gonna do. So I was like, all right. I go back out there and I go on and tell my boy it's gonna be a green light, you know what I'm saying, for him from here on out. So I kind of blessed him as well, but I also blessed myself because, like I said, I ain't want to, you know, get myself caught up in those situations to where I ain't never got more time. I just wanted to kind of, you know, feed off somebody else to where I can kind of make some money here and there. So then, like I said, after I talked to them and everything, got everything cool with that, you know, I'm sitting in the kitchen. And when I'm in the kitchen, you know, I see like 5 black suits coming in. Now the black suits is people that come in like on major shakedowns and things like that. They got the dogs and all that, you know, to make sure that, you know, the mace, the guns and stuff. To where when you go in there, motherfucker, with them, shit, it's gonna be on some serious ass shit. So when they come, everybody already on point. So when they come in there, and they instead of them coming in there to go to the back, they came in there and they sat down. And when they was sitting down, we doing our thing now. At this time, you know, I didn't even really notice because everything was, you know, like I said, when you come in there, you come straight to do your job, boom. You go out there to eat or whatever, however things is, and then when the lines start moving, that's when you get to seeing some people. So I ain't even get to see, you know what I'm saying, Miss Oliver at all. So then, like I said, the black suits was sitting at the table right there, boom. I get up. When I get up, I go to the back. That's when I noticed that she wasn't there, and I'm like asking everybody where she at, you know, cause like I said, they got me serving the meat and stuff. I've been doing this shit, you know what I'm saying, for months. Like she just been watching my motherfucking ass, you know. So I'm like, shit. uh, I'm like, shit. What the fuck, you know? Where is she at, you know? So then, boom. Probably about 3 or 4 minutes while I'm sitting back there looking, you know what I'm saying, for everybody. I don't see Oliver. I don't see Will. You know, I don't really see nobody. I just see me and Payne, you know, and other employees that work there. But I don't see none of the other people. So I'm like, shit, what the fuck, you know? So then, boom, that's when the black suits come back there. And when they come back there, I guess they already had them in another room in the back because I guess earlier they came and they did some stuff, but they didn't want to rush all the way back there because that room wasn't big back there. So I guess they was back there shaking them, like taking their clothes off to strip search them and stuff like that to see what was going on with them. So then when they came out, that's when I seen, you know what I'm saying, them two. So I'm like, shit, what the fuck, you know? So I'm like, shit, what the fuck happened with them? So then, boom, they go, boom. The next day, I come to work. And when I get to work, that's when this other guy, now they got a guy working there, you know. He's kind of tall, white dude, you know what I'm saying, with spiky hair, you know. He wore glasses too, you know, but shit, I ain't really know him like that, but he was telling people, you know what I'm saying, I guess when Miss Oliver came in, she got caught up at the front desk with some stuff, you know what I'm saying, that she was bringing in the penitentiary. And instead of her not telling who she was bringing the stuff in for, she told that Will and Ivory was the two people that did it. So then that's why they hurry up and came back and they snatched those two people up, because shit, they could have snatched Payne up if they knew that Payne was doing something. But like I said, Payne was probably, a side dude doing this thing or whatever, and he really wasn't involved in nothing like that. And Miss Oliver probably didn't know that he was doing things. But yeah, they end up catching those two up, you know what I'm saying, as well, because she was a faulty ass motherfucker that played both sides of a situation that ended up got everybody caught up because she thought that she could manipulate them people to try to make some money. But in reality, you know what I'm saying, she was the only one that made money, but she ended up getting everybody caught up. But this is your boy Fast checking in with you with another one. Y'all hit that like and subscribe button for your boy. You know what I'm saying? So we can keep this thing moving. Y'all stay up.